What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with the overall market, what you should be watching for moving forward. I'm also going to talk about what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, what's going on with the news affecting the markets, and the data that just came out. But before I break anything down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. Now, this offer ends in just about 10 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market so far. Looking at SPY, okay? I told you guys yesterday we had this big test coming off this critical resistance. And if we rejected off this, we could see the market start to sink back down into these lower levels. If we broke this, we would see the market break out and attempt to see some upside. Now, looking at the fact that we had this, bullish looking structure on SPY, there was a chance that this thing could have tried to break out. But what happened was we had the initial jobless claims come out and the market started to sink as a result of it. And that's despite the fact that this was just a little bit hotter than expected, or I'm sorry, a little bit hotter than the previous report and very close to what the forecast and consensus happened to be. And despite that, we're still seeing the market slowing down. Continuing jobless claims were as expected, and the experts' data was as expected too. Only thing that was a little bit lower than expected would be the imports data, but that's pretty much it in terms of data. Nothing was too crazy so far. Now, the jobless claims for the 4-week average was a bit lower than expected, so just slightly lower, so that was a little negative for the markets. But overall, everything was very close to expectations. However, I want to break down something else that's very important. Today, we have a bunch of Fed speakers. I want to warn you about that. I don't know if they're going to cause more fear for the markets, slow the markets down or not. So just be very careful. At about 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, we have Mester from the Fed giving a speech. Then at about 11:30 a.m., we have Barkin giving a speech, and this is all in Eastern Standard Time or New York time, by the way, that I'm speaking in. Then we have Daly giving a speech at noon Eastern Time, and then we have Barr giving his speech at around 12:15 p.m. So with all these Fed speakers, who knows what's going to happen? I want everyone to be prepared for anything because it could cause some high volatility. Now, when it comes to the market has broken a long amount of losing days yesterday, but the question is, can it continue? Is it about to reject? There's a new strike in town. More than 75,000 healthcare workers have walked off the job on Wednesday at Kaiser Permanente, the nation's largest healthcare nonprofit organization. And they're basically saying that this is the largest strike by healthcare workers in U.S. history. And they're seeking a long-term solution for staffing shortages that left employees burnt out. Now, there's also new news coming about the smartphone wars. We have Google unveiling 2 new Pixel phones Wednesday, as it continues to try to make smartphone market take away the smartphone market from Apple. So we have the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8 Pro. Their new AI-powered editing tools are very, very useful. And finally, we're starting to see Joe Biden canceling another $9 billion in student loan debt. Nothing too big so far. That's pretty much it for now. Disney is offering some discounts on children's tickets on theme parks, so hopefully that builds more profits for them. We'll have to see on that. That's pretty much it for the news affecting the markets. Now let's talk about what's happening to the stock market. So, looking at SPY, we are starting to reject off this green resistance trend line, which is the previous support we were talking about in the past. And with this rejection, okay, the question that now emerges is, can we end up trying to hold this previous resistance? If we hold this, there isn't a possibility we attempt to rebound. That's going to favor the bulls. If we break below this support rate over here, if we break below this 423.3-ish zone, we could see this thing start sinking towards 422 and we could see some major downside. So watch this level very carefully. Right now, SPY is looking a little weaker, so be very careful, guys. There's a risk of some downside coming. It's looking a little bit weaker, but we'll have to wait and see if we break this as confirmation. That's going to be our support right now. Do we break down? If we break below 423.3, I could see some downside. So if you're bullish, you want to see it bounce and try to get back above 425 and hold it. If it manages to hold and close above that, the bulls will have an edge. If we break below 423.3, you're going to be watching for some downside. This thing's going to likely approach 422. If it breaks below that, 420 is on the table. Below 420, we have 418. So watch these levels very, very carefully. We will see which way it goes. As of right now, it's looking a bit weaker. We'll see what happens by the time we open, because I wouldn't rule anything out just yet. For the QQQ, this is looking very interesting too. The QQQ is not looking that weak. We're still at 359, which is like not that bad. If we bounce off 359, you want to be watching resistance at 360. If we get above that, watch 361.69. Above that, we have 362.5. And for bearish, if we do break below 359, you're going to be watching this thing come all the way down to about 358. If that fails, let's watch 356. Now, right now, it's looking a little bit weaker. Not that bad, but a little bit weaker now because it is technically below 359. So there's a risk of 358 flats being tested. So watch that support very carefully. If that fails us, we could get a lot closer to 356. Now, right now, we still have this possible cup and handle formation. So long as we try to hold these highs, and if it establishes a higher low, there is potential. If it keeps breaking down, then watch 356 very carefully. If we get it below this, this would be a bearish signal. If we maintain and hold above 358, there's going to be some potential. So watch those supports very carefully. Right now, we're rejecting, looking a bit weaker, but please be open-minded nonetheless to see how this test ends up going. For Nvidia stock, it's starting to reject a little bit. We were talking about this thing potentially coming back down. If we continue to reject, you're going to be watching this support around this 437.5 area. We also have this white trend line right here, this white trend line acting as a support. We're going to be watching this very carefully. If Nvidia does end up breaking below 440, watch this support right here at 437. It's about 436. This is where we have this trend line of support. Can Nvidia hold this? Because if we do test it, there is going to likely be an attempt of buyers try to step in and push it back up to 440. If we break below this, trend line, Nvidia could be establishing a change in its overall trend, because we'd established like this lower high here, then the lower high. If we reject off this, then we may be continuing to downtrend. So you're gonna be watching that level very carefully on Nvidia. So watch for this test right here, 437-ish around here. If we do end up breaking below 440, see if we hold above this and then try to bounce. If we do bounce, or if we do try to hold up anyways, 442 is gonna be resistance on 444. And then if we continue to hold up, watch 450. So it is looking like it's slowing down just a little bit as of right now. So watch and see how it holds. If it breaks below this trend line right here, I'm going to turn more bearish on Nvidia. We could be watching it approach the 433 area if it does break down. So watch this very carefully. It looks like it's going to cool off just a little bit. We're going to be watching this test. Does it bounce or not? That's going to be the key level to watch for the time being. For Tesla stock, this is also looking very interesting. So Tesla's daily candlestick was quite strong. So was the 4-hour, and it is dropping just a little bit. Currently testing this 260 area. If 260 fails us, you're going to be watching about 260 support, 257.5, 255, 252.5, and then 250 all as supports. If we're bullish, you want to be watching 262 for the gap fill as resistance, 265, and then we have 268 above that. Tesla looks pretty decent so far. Looks like it could just be a Wyckoff accumulation. This could be like our SOS phase where it kind of like comes down, retest 257 or so. But as long as Tesla holds above 257.5 to 255, it's still going to be in a decent place. And it could always just like retrace a little bit and try to bounce by Friday and try to push up even higher. So this structure still looks more bullish for now, so long as Tesla holds above like this 255 zone. If it breaks below that, then I could change my mind. But for now, it's still looking decent. It could still retrace a little bit and try to bounce, and there's still potential for it. Now, if it loses 255, my opinion could change, but as of right now, it's holding up quite decently. So watch for a little retracement and a bounce later on. That's pretty much it. I think Apple's the last one I'm missing. So as far as Aapl goes, I would say that Apple's looking very flat right now. It is rejecting off this exact resistance we were talking about. If it breaks above 174, there's going to be hope for the bulls. If it manages to just close right where it's at, it's going to be kind of neutral. If it breaks below 172, that's going to turn bearish. So watch these levels very carefully. Apple's rejecting right now. It's going to be retesting 173 flat. If we bounce off of this, watch and see if it could break 173.86 to 174. If it does, like I said, we could turn bullish. If it fails, watch 172 if it does break below 173. If 172 fails us, it's going to make its way back into this falling wedge, and that could turn bearish again. It's going to be like a failed attempt to break out. So watch and see how it reacts to these levels. We're just going to be very patient for now, and just know that it is looking a little weaker as we're starting to reject a bit, but we just want to be open-minded nonetheless. All right, so thank you all so much for listening. Hopefully this video was helpful for the pre-market. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you, and peace out.